Hello and a warm welcome to this Independence Day special of News Now with me, Jude Sanath. From all of us here at ET Now and the Times Network, here's wishing you and your family a very happy Independence Day. And what a start to the day it's been thus far. Prime Minister Modi there making his longest ever independence speech for any Prime Minister, that is, totaling to about 103 minutes, surpassing his own record of 98 minutes by a whole 5 minutes, with a whole lot to unpack, especially on the geopolitical front, reiterating his stance, his uncompromising stance as far as Indian farmers go, and also saying that as far as India is concerned, only Indian waters rather, would be kept aside only for the country. To unpack a whole lot from the Prime Minister's speech and to join us with his analysis, I'm joined by political commentator and analyst Sanjeev Srivastava. Sanjeev, firstly, a very happy Independence Day to you. Thanks so much for joining us on the broadcast. First up, what were some of the key takeaways from the Prime Minister's speech, Sanjeev? I know there was a whole lot on Pakistan, on national security, but that wasn't all. The Prime Minister there also maintaining that, as far as India would concern, be it trade, be it water, be it farmers, it would always be a question, or there would be no question rather, of putting the nation first. Sanjeev, what's your take?
Thank you very much for having me. A very happy Independence Day to you and all the viewers of ET Now as well. And like you just said, it was the Prime Minister's longest ever speech. Every year he makes it a little longer. He posted a century plus this time. But it was important because I think the occasion demanded it, as the Prime Minister and the country is really besieged with a lot of threats externally, terror-wise from Pakistan, tariff-wise from US. We are also a little bit of in a corner or in a quandary geopolitically in our neighborhood. We have to review our relations and move forward or maintain a balance with China. So a lot of things are happening, and inside the country also, politically, it is a government which does not enjoy a majority on its own, and the opposition is suddenly finding a new voice and a new vigor. So challenges galore. Also with the RSS, there is talk. So I think the Prime Minister did well to address all these constituencies, all these issues. Like you said, he began with strategic geopolitical issues, a clear message to Pakistan. First of all, he lauded Indian bravehearts, then a clear message to Pakistan. And those who were thinking that Asim Munir, the Field Marshal of Pakistan's threat on Indus water, if India builds a dam, then they'll blow it. I think that has been firmly dealt with in his answer, that treaty is not for review as of now. My personal take is that treaty is a big bargaining chip with India. So the Prime Minister is not going to step back easy. Similarly, clear message to US and Trump, no compromise on Indian farmers or fishermen or dairy workers' interests. So again, no going back, no going down, no budging. At the same time, a message to the Indian constituency, more reforms, more prosperity, more of self-reliance, more schemes, more welfare schemes targeted towards unemployed women. So a whole plethora of issues and a call to all opposition parties to unite and raise their voice and deploy their strength for the betterment of India. So it was a well-rounded speech, long, yes, but then I think he touched almost all bases.
Right. Sanjeev, we spent the greater part of the last bulletin speaking to Ambassador Sajanar on the India-Pakistan equations, especially in the context of the Prime Minister's speech. So let me take a bottom-up approach with you. Let's start with geopolitics, Sanjeev, if you will. The Prime Minister there talking about a trade deal in India's interests, talking about how farmers for him are priority number one. Does all of this point to a clear and uncompromising stance that the Prime Minister has said India will take when it comes to those tariffs that have been making headlines in the last few weeks? Do you feel the Prime Minister was sending out a message that India will stand with its farmers, continue to import that Russian oil, which has been the bone of contention between India and the US, and saying that the nation's interests would come first. Was that a veiled message to the US? Tariffs or no tariffs, 25% on 25% or not, that India will continue to throw its weight behind its own interests and will not cower down to this threat of economic sanctions vis-a-vis tariffs, should that be the case? Would you think that was the message the Prime Minister was trying to send out?
I think that is the message. He has said that earlier also, that there will be no compromise in the interest of Indian farmers. He said that a few days ago. And he has reiterated that point with a lot of firmness and strength. And I think he understands that this issue is more than just Indian farmers or Indian opening up of Indian agri sector. It has gone beyond that. Nobody in the world can really truly fathom what exactly is in Trump's mind and why is he behaving like that. Already one of his key advisors has said that if the tomorrow's summit meeting between Putin and Trump doesn't go well and ends in a failure, that may mean more tariffs for India. We are not even part of the negotiations, but we are being used as something which Trump is throwing in the entire deal. So clearly very tough times for India. And the Prime Minister making it clear that however tough Trump may get or whatever ego trip he is on, India is not going to go back. So there are difficult times ahead. That is why I think that he was constantly focusing on the Indian domestic economy, the need to make ourselves self-reliant, the need to make more and more things, whether it is defense sector related, like fighter jet engines, or more startups, more local manufacturing industry, more employment for Indian youth. So I think he was trying to balance. What he did not shy away from was from the fact that it is a challenging and a difficult situation which India is confronted with. At the same time, he was exuding confidence that he has faith in the Indian public, and he was also holding out a promise that the government will do all it can to usher in next generation reforms, whether it's in GST or other issues, more cutting of more red tape and make ease of doing business. So the big question really is, it's very nice to hear all these things. How much the government will do? How much does it have the leeway to do? How much of a maneuvering space it has? That we'll only know in days to come.
Right, right. In fact, Sanjeev, let me request you to stay with us even as we quickly take a look at what exactly the Prime Minister said with regard to standing by India's farmers in no uncertain term. Let's take a look again at exactly what Prime Minister Modi there said about Indian farmers and throwing his weight firmly behind the farming community.
भारत से निकलती नदियों का पानी दुश्मनों के खेत को सींच रहा है और मेरे देश के किसान, मेरे देश की धरती पानी के बिना प्यासी है। ये ऐसा समझौता था जिसने पिछले 7 दशक से मेरे देश के किसानों का अकल्पनीय नुकसान किया है। अब हिंदुस्तान के हक का जो पानी है उस पर अधिकार सिर्फ और सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान का है, हिंदुस्तान के किसानों का है।
Right, Prime Minister Modi there talking about how India's stance on its farmers would be uncompromising. This, remember, comes in the context of his earlier remarks, the nation's earlier remarks and stance on its import of Russian oil, and that India would in fact prioritize its own national interests and the interests of its farmers, dairy farmers and fishers insofar as securing its own energy interests are concerned, even in the face of mounting international pressure from the US vis-a-vis its import of Russian oil. You know, Sanjeev, back to you now. I hate to do this on a day like Independence Day, but the fact is that a lot of what the Prime Minister said, especially with regard to putting the nation's interests first, about throwing his weight firmly behind farmers, even going on so far as to announce that Diwali bonanza, as far as the new era of GST coming in by the end of the year. A lot of this could also have political ramifications, positive, some might say, for the BJP, especially in a year, or in the run-up rather, to 3 crucial assembly elections in the states of Tamil Nadu, Kerala and West Bengal. Would you say that a lot of these, a lot of these talking points would also, mean political fortunes for the ruling party as far as these assembly elections are concerned?
Well, before that, it is the Bihar election this year, before the 3 elections which you mentioned, which are
Jogging my memory there.
next year. So, very honestly, all speeches are good for the day they are made. I don't think they are going to have a big political impact or a big resonance when people are going to go out and vote in Bihar. Forget about Tamil Nadu, etc., which will be next year. The importance will be that how he will walk the talk and what exactly his government will do to implement what he has promised today and announced today. That will be the key, not the speech. The speech, people will listen, the people will clap, people will feel reassured and maybe even confident about their future. But ultimately, the taste of the pudding will be in eating it. So, what exactly is unveiled in terms of reforms? What exactly are the GST reforms going to be like? Or how the rates will be restructured? How India is going to tackle the self-reliant India talk? What more manufacturing impetus will be given? Because we all know that despite the Prime Minister's announcements, and I'm sure those announcements are backed with real good intent, there are a lot of difficulties which happen when it comes to execution. The bureaucratic red tape still remains. We may be talking about whatever we may like to believe in terms of ease of doing business, but we are still not ranked very highly on the global list of ease of doing business. So, yes, these are political issues which will get a positive impact for the BJP if something more concrete than just a speech happens on these issues. So that I think will really decide how the elections play out. And then again, elections are a completely different ballgame in India. So many factors come into play as one heads for voting near to the counting time. I don't want to, like you said, that you hate to talk about such things on a day like today. So I will also refrain and not make my comments dwell much upon politics, because so many things are happening, unfolding, the opposition, intra-BJP things, inner BJP politics. What the Prime Minister, but one very important point which the Prime Minister, I think you must highlight, is the fact that he said about something that he will make those announcements from the same ramparts of Red Fort. So what he has clearly said is that whatever the talk may be, he's not going anywhere.
Right, he's not going anywhere, that's for sure. But if you could just quickly stay with politics for a bit, recent history and experience would tell us that, in any political discourse, especially in the context of an election, the topic of national security is almost always a double whammy for the ruling party. And the Prime Minister, they're talking about Pakistan in clear terms, insofar as saying that India will, quote unquote, strike back, in the face of terror, also going on to reiterate that the Indus Water Treaty and its revocation essentially means India's waters will be used for India and India's farmers. Again, great rhetoric with regard to, a common enemy. And that is no doubt another big booster, if you will, for the ruling party's electoral fortunes come the next 3 or 4 elections.
I don't think so. Because Operation Sindoor happened 2 months back. The impact of Operation Sindoor has already, people have taken that in their stride. We appreciate, I think most people do appreciate what the government has done, respect and love and adore our armed forces for that. But by the time the first vote will be cast in Bihar, Operation Sindoor will be 6 months behind it. So a lot more issues will come into play, unless something else happens again which pertains to national security. So Pulwama happened in 2019, just before the elections, and the results were, that time it did play a part. Nothing happened in 2024 elections. Before the 2024 elections, the results were quite lukewarm for the BJP. So national security is a very sensitive and very important issue for the electorate, but it has to have some kind of a recent resonance. We're
Right,
a
Sanjeev.
6 month
Right.
before, that's what the point I. So it will be a lot of local issues, and Bihar is going to be the most crucial election, and the Bihar
Absolutely.
outcome may well decide the pace or the tenor of elections which will follow next year, particularly in West
Fair
Bengal.
enough. Fair enough, fair enough. So yes, absolutely, like you were saying, national security is no doubt a big global as well as an electoral issue, but it will be local issues that ultimately matter as far as political fortunes of the ruling party are concerned. On that note, Sanjeev, great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us on this day. A very happy Independence Day to you again. And with that, we'll have to slip into a really short break.